Good evening, everyone. I am Yashaswini, currently working as a lab manager in Nova IVF Center, Hyderabad. I am here to brief you about the procedures or the techniques what we do in Nova in particularly in IVF lab. A tour of ART procedure, like you all know, we are a chain of hospital. The main advantage of this being we have a wonderful family to work with. The second and the third advantage would be we since we have a chain of protocol, as in the protocol across all centers in Nova remains the same. So this has an added advantage of us having a opportunity for troubleshooting much more easier. Say one of the center has a drop in result, then we can go back to the media batch which is used, or the or the dishes which are used, or the or if it is the person factor and lot of other things. And also one more advantage is, since we are the chain, we have a lot of data available in the center, as in we have a embryology data pool, as in if we are doing a study, research study, we have a lot of data in house. So that will also help us in improving our skills in every other aspect. So what is the advantage in Nova that we can see? One is the modular lab. What is modular lab? Modular lab is we have a wall made up of steel, and then it is painted by epoxy paint, and then we have a vinyl flooring. The advantage of having these two is other commercial paints, they emit something called as VOC, volatile organic compounds, which are not really good for embryos. And then the advantage of vinyl flooring is also something similar. We put vinyl shields. So the advantage is, if you put the mosaic or the tiles, so edges, there's a fair chance of microbial growth, or also there's a fair chance of dust accumulating. So the vinyl floor and the epoxy
Just
painted wall
started.
gives us the added advantage. And also then we have something called as air handling unit. So what does air handling unit has? Air handling unit has something called as pre-filter and HEPA filter. So what does this do? So they suck the air which is in the IVF lab, then they circulate the air, they filter the air, and then they pump back into the lab. So the air what we get inside the IVF lab is pure. And then what happens is it creates a kind of positive pressure in the lab, which also help us to keep the uh, contaminated air if there is anything away. So the air in the IVF lab is always maintained clean. So the next would be team of clinicians and embryologists. So the in-house embryologist and clinician, there's a beautiful bond. So the one advantage is there is a transparency between the clinician and embryologist. So when we have an in-house clinician and embryologist, we do have the trust, we do have the rapport, have the transparency. So in IVF procedure, when we do IVF procedure, it is not that every patient will get a blastocyst. There is a fair chance that few patient 1% we might not get blastocyst. So then we have the comfort zone to go and talk to the doctors, explain them this is the reason. So this is another added advantage. And then we also have collaboration with internationally renowned chain of IVF clinics, and then technical and experience update. So this is another important aspect. What we have is, so here though we work for several years, so the medical field is something which we need to upgrade ourselves every now and then. So as and when the new procedures are introduced, then we are trained for it, and then we are validated for it, and then only it is put in use. So we have incubators like benchtop incubator, embryoscope, and diode laser, and the technique like testicular biopsy. Testicular biopsy is mainly recommended for the patient who have non-obstructive zoospermia, and also with the patient of high DNA fragmentation. And then we have a program ovum donation and sperm donation. And then we have a PGS. PGS screening is mainly done for the patient who has repeated implantation failure, who has a genetic abnormality history. And then we also have a program called oocyte vitrification, which is mainly used for fertility and oncological reason. And also it can be used, suppose a patient is posted for OPU, the husband has collection problem, or suppose the patient is posted for OPU and they are posted with the TISA. In TISA we are not able to get the sample. So in such cases also oocyte vitrification plays a major role. IVF operation theater. The retrieval procedure OPU is done under anesthesia and sonography, guided in IVF OT, which is adjacent to IVF lab. So the distance between the IVF lab and the OT makes a very plays a very major role. The reason being, when the oocyte is picked up from the OT, as soon as it is picked up, it has to come to the lab. The reason being the temperature, if there is a temperature fluctuation or a drop, that can lead to some adverse effect, that may lead to some adverse effect on the oocyte. So the minimal time taken or the minimal distance between the oocyte or IVF OT and IVF lab is very essential. So ovum pickup. Basically, in ovum pickup, what we do is we use in our center only single lumen. The single lumen needle is used to puncture the follicle, then aspirate the oocyte, and then the aspirated follicular fluid is collected in the tube, which is kept on the heater stage. And then here, one important role is we should avoid the temperature change, as I mentioned before. So what we have is a dry heat heater, as in we have a test tube warmer in the OT where it is placed and the follicular fluid is collected. Then we have one dry test tube holder in the hatchet which connects the OT and IVF. So and also we have a workstation with 37-degree maintained stage. So to avoid the temperature change in the travel of oocyte from the tube till our incubator. Next, ovum screening. Once the oocyte is received in the OT, what we do is we mix the follicular fluid, then we pour it in 100 mm or 60 mm or 30 mm of different dishes, like it is shown in the screen, and it is collected in a round bottom tube. To avoid round bottom tube is used to avoid sticking or oocyte getting stuck in the bottom, so round bottom tube is preferably used. And then we have a pipette, then it is poured and scanned throughout. Scanning is a very important aspect. During the scanning, we should not be missing any edge, any nook, any corner of the dish, because any corner of the dish can contain an egg. So screening plays a major role. So it is always advisable to have two people. There is a fair chance that one person might miss the OCC. So the double screening is very much essential during ovum screening. IVF lab workstation and incubator. Here you can see the hatchet which connects to IVF lab and the OT, where the ovum pickup is done in the IVF OT and it is put in the dry test tube warmer here. And then we have a workstation. Here the person first position, as in the person who scans first sits, here the second person takes in charge. And then it is always advisable to have incubator closer to your workstation, be it laminar airflow, be it a micro manipulator. The distance is very essential, because if you're holding a dish and walking for a longest time, the temperature drop can take place. So it is always advisable to have incubator right beside your workstation or beside your manipulator. So benchtop incubator and embryoscope. Benchtop incubator is a compact incubator. The main advantage of this incubator is being, so the recovery is higher. So when you open the incubator and check for the embryo grading, and when you close it back, the recovery of gas, the temperature, everything is as quick. So the fluctuation in the temperature is minimal. And then we have embryoscope. Embryoscope is a very advanced machine which is used for only indicative patients like high maternal age, or with the repeated implantation failure. In embryoscope, what happens is we have a plate. We have a plate which holds a 1 embryo in the groove. So right after the ICSI, 1 groove is put with 1 oocyte. So, and then their growth is monitored in each step, right from PN formation to cleavage till blastocyst formation. So any abnormality happening in the cleavage, or if there is reverse cleavage, everything is monitored. Since it is an expensive instrument, so it is only used for the indicative patients. So this is the inside of the incubator. This is called as a Heracell incubator. It has a different racks which can be divided amongst different patients or according to different procedure. It is connected to either CO2 alone gas, or it is connected to dry gas, and then it has underneath a tray which helps us in maintaining the humidity. So this is the benchtop incubator. Inside it has a stage which is maintained at 37-degree temperature, and the main advantage of this is the lid is also calibrated for 37-degree. So the dish, when it is placed underneath, the temperature is made sure it is 37-degree, and also from the top it is 37-degree. So when your media droplet containing the embryo would have the temperature of 37-degree. Ideally, in any which way, we need to calibrate or maintain, or one important aspect is daily QC is very much essential to see the efficacy and also for the proper functioning of the instruments. So hyaluronidases treatment. What is hyaluronidases treatment? once the OCC is received in the lab,
Hello.
so it is incubated for about 2 to 3 hours in our incubators. So then after 2 to 3 hours, when we are ready for just for ICSI, we remove the OCC from the incubator, and then we do the hyaluronidase treatment. In this, what is done is hyaluronic acid is used to remove the granulosa cell surrounding the oocyte. So it is made easier for the ICSI to perform, and also the nuclear maturity of egg is seen. In this, the basic things what I used is Pasteur pipette and also the strippers of different diameters. So the main caution what we should have is the time exposure to the hyaluronidase treatment. It should not be more than 30 seconds. If it is more than 30 seconds, it can lead to oocyte activation. So the exposure to hyaluronidase should be less than 30 seconds. And also one more timeline which has to be monitored is the time taken from the time dish is outside till the time dish is put back inside. So it should be somewhere between 3 to it should be somewhere between it should be somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Again, it is an important aspect to be considered because the oocyte should not be exposed outside for the longest time. Egg after hyaluronidase treatment. Like I mentioned before, hyaluronidase treatment let us remove the granulosa cell, and then we can see the maturity of egg. So there are 3 stages which are generally seen. One is GV, which is a very immature stage of egg. In this, we can see the germinal vesicle in the center, which contains the genetic material, and this is M2. M2 is a mature stage of oocyte which is used for ICSI, and this is M1, which is with the stages between germinal vesicle and M2. So this can be identified with no polar body. The only difference between M1 and M2 is M1 does not have a polar body, M2 has a polar body. ICSI plate. ICSI plate is a plate which is made to manipulate the gamete outside in the lab. So in this ICSI plate, what we do is we take one egg and one sperm, and then we inject in the cytoplasm. So ICSI plate is something, it is very personal to each embryologist. The few aspect which play a major role while preparing ICSI plate: the media drop should not be too small or too big. If it is too small or too big, the temperature loss is higher, and also it should be made sure that the oil covering the dish should be somewhere around 8 to 10 ml. This again helps us in maintaining the temperature in 37 degree. So, and also the oil is a very important aspect. And also one more thing, what we have to see is the time of exposure of oocyte outside. Ideally, once the oocyte is outside, it is said that it should not be outside for more than 5 minutes. So it is suggestive that you should take less number of oocytes, which the ideal number would be 4 to 5 per batch. And then you can, if you have more oocytes, then you can take in the second batch. So the exposure of other oocytes is avoided. Manipulator. Micro manipulator is the instrument which is used for ICSI. It has an inverted microscope with the light source and condenser, and also micro manipulators, which helps us in manipulating the egg and the sperm. That is, it helps us in injecting the one egg with one sperm. And also this manipulator is used for PGS cases. This manipulator is used for daily checking, IMSI, PIXI, and all procedures. ICSI. Basically, ICSI stands for intracytoplasmic sperm injection. In this, what is done is One egg is held and one sperm is selected based on the morphological appearance of the sperm, and then it is immobilized, and then it is placed in the cytoplasm. In ICSI, the important aspect is the pressure with which the egg is held and the pressure with which the injection needle goes in the cytoplasm, and also when you break the cytoplasm, the pressure which is used, and also the pressure with which the needle comes out. So each step in ICSI plays a very important role in getting a normal fertilization. So IVF procedure. So basically in IVF, how is IVF different from ICSI is, in IVF, the hyaluronidase treatment is not done before we could inseminate the egg with the sperm. In IVF, basically the oocyte cumulus complex, what is called as OCC, is incubated with 30 to 40,000 of sperm, and then it is incubated for 4 to 16 hours and then it is denuded and checked for the fertilization next day. So the OPU, ICSI and all is considered as day 0, and next comes day 1. In this, what we check is the fertilization check. Basically, fertilization check shows us whether the egg is fertilized or no. So a normal fertilized egg will have a male and female pronuclei along with 2 polar body excluded. So there are some cases where abnormal fertilization is seen, like you can see 3 PN or 1 PN, or you can see parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is, it goes very faster, parthenogenesis, and then something called a Syngmi check is done. So day 2. So day 2 ideal stage for the embryo to have is 2 to 4 cell. So if an embryo develops, so there is a timeline for each embryo to develop. So on the 16th to 18th hour of injection, it is suggested that it will be in PN stage, and then on day 2, it is in 2 to 4 cell, and then followed on day 3 whether it is in 8 and 10 cell, and then compacting morula, which is on day 4, blastocyst, which is on day 5, and hatched blastocyst or hatching blastocyst on day 6. So this check at each day is important because it shows that embryo is developing in taking the normal timeline in consideration. This actually could be an indicative of its implantation potential, but not in all cases, but yeah, to some extent. This again shows the different developmental stages. This is oocyte, fertilization, day 2, day 5, day 4, day 5, and day 6. This is a schematic representation of how the embryo looks in the embryoscope screen, wherein the different stages of it is monitored. So zona hatching or drilling. So before we used to do, it was said that zona hatching and drilling had an important role in improving the implantation potential. However, the study conducted in our center, we did not see any difference. So currently we are not doing any laser treatment. However, the laser is used for PGS. So the embryo transfer catheter, there are different commercially available embryo transfer catheter, which has the inner and the outer. So the loading technique, there are different loading technique. There is something called as sandwich technique, in which there's a minimal amount of media taken with the air column, and then about 10 to 15 microliter of media with the embryo, air column, and the media. So vitrification, basically in vitrification, what is done is embryo, which is at 37 degree, is brought down to room temperature, and the water content in the embryo is replaced by the cryoprotectant, and then it is stored at -196. So vitrification is useful for the patient who has OHSS, who does not have a proper endometrium for that cycle to be transferred, or who has an who wants to go for embryo pooling and have a PGS, and then who are going for straight PGS after biopsy it is used, and also used for more embryos, like they have two transferred and the remaining embryos can be cryopreserved for the future use. Embryo vitrification and cryopreservation. In this, there are different commercial kits available. So in this, there are equilibration ES and VS solution. In this, the what is done is the water content in the embryo is removed, and it is then replaced by the permeable cryoprotectant. After the embryo, so in this, the different stages are seen. First, the embryo shrinks and then it re-expands. That shows the embryo has gone through all process and it is ready to be stored. So after the embryo expands, then it is loaded in. There are different commercial devices available. So you can load in this manner and then drain the excess of media. So the draining of excess of media is very important. So the proper training also decides can be a deciding factor for the survival, and also then plunging, and while capping the any device what you are using, it is advisable to take some amount of liquid nitrogen in it, so there is no temperature loss, as in there is no temperature loss when you store the embryo, and also proper storage is very important. In here, one more important aspect is while embryo vitrification, the proper witnessing is very essential. Proper witnessing starts from taking the dish with the patient name on it, and then labeling the device with the another witness, and also plunging the device and placing it and recording at the same time. And then after we do an embryo transfer, on day 14, the beta HCG is checked. And then thawing. So thawing is an important procedure again. Here, the speed with which the embryo is brought from that -196 to 37, that should be very rapid. So there is the cryoprotectant is replaced by the water content. Again, the embryo expands and then comes to its normal. So this is a live, you can see the live blastomere, live embryos, and this is something called as degeneration. So with the commercial kits available, we do have about 99% of embryo survival. Again, it depends on the embryo potency, stage, and also different developmental potential. Planning for, so along with the ART service, we can have a sperm bank simultaneously, but here one important aspect is if a center is running sperm banking, it has to be registered separately. And also oocyte banking can be helpful to make ED embryos, and also used to store the excessive oocytes, and also ovarian tissue under cryopreservation. This is still in the experimental stage. And sperm cryopreservation. Sperm cryopreservation can be done for multiple purpose. One can be done for fertility preservation. One more can be done for during OPU as a backup sample. As the patient goes through OPU cycle, they will have a lot of anxiety and stress. Just to avoid the accident of not having this sample post OPU is done, it is always advisable to store the sample in beforehand, before OPU. Again, semen cryopreservation is done using cryo vials currently. So what is done is the semen sample is stored with the equal amount of cryoprotectant, and then slowly it is exposed to low temperature like fridge, and then cooler, then the deep fridge, and then vapor phase, and then liquid nitrogen. There is a fair chance of 15 to 20% of motility being lost, which has to be prior informed to patient. Again, here after semen cryopreservation, thawing is a very important aspect. While thawing, what is done is the cryo oil is identified. Again, here the identification of patient with double witnessing plays a very major role. So when you are removing for thawing, the witnessing has to be done and then it has to be placed in the room temperature for about 5 to 10 minutes. So once you see the liquefaction, then it is kept in the incubator for about 5 minutes and then it can be used for various procedures only after the cryoprotectant is removed by giving it a wash. Again, ovarian tissue cryopreservation is still under experimental stage, wherein the chunk of ovarian tissue is gotten and then it is stored in the cryo vial. PGS. So PGS is a very advanced procedure which is used for only indicative patient such as high maternal age, history of chromosomal anomalies. So PGS again is an invasive procedure. So the expertise or the delicate hand with which the PGS has to be done. So for this, the proper training, validation is very essential. And so the training and validation can be determined by one person does a biopsy and the embryo comes back and expands the way however it was during biopsy. And most of the embryos with the current advancement of ART survives the post PGS. Thank you.
Ma'am, any questions? Kindly please unmute and ask.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
How long can we preserve the in cryo cans? What is the duration? How long can we?
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am. Now, according to ICMR guidelines, we are allowed to store for about 5 years, ma'am.
5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any regular checkings or can we preserve till that time?
Ma'am, we can preserve till that time, but regular informing to patient is a must, as in the patient might not remember. So regular interval we can remind them, and also we should not disturb them. Once it is undisturbed, we can store straight for 5 years, ma'am. There's no issue with that.
What is the replacement of nitrous in the cryo cans?
Ma'am, we do once in 3 days, ma'am.
Once in 3 days.
Yes, ma'am. It is not complete. We should not, the sample or the embryo has to be immersed properly in the tank. So the regular check has to be done for, it depends on again the external temperature, the time, how many times it is opened in a day. So the days with which it has to be topped up varies on the temperature outside and also the time when it is opened multiple times. Okay. So the regular check of the level must be monitored, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam, any more doubts? Please kindly unmute and ask, and you can type in chat also.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
If any embryos are remaining, if the patient has many embryos and they are not utilized by the patient, what are you going to do with those embryos?
Ma'am, we can take their consent. It can be discarded or used for research purpose, ma'am, with the patient consent.
Okay. It will not be used for anybody else.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No. Oh. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me. How many stage cell you inject for IVF? The blastomia. It is 4 cell or 6 cell?
Ma'am, I can't hear you, ma'am.
How many cell? What is the number of cells? At what stage do you take that oocyte for the IVF? Cell stage. It is either 2 cell or 4 cell.
You mean for
Blastomia.
transfer, ma'am? Is it for embryo transfer?
Yeah.
Ma'am,
for the
day
IVF,
2, if we are doing a transfer, ideal stage would be 4 cell. And day 3, if we are doing, it could be somewhere around 8 to 12 cell, ma'am.
Which do you prefer?
Ma'am?
Which do you prefer? Which one you prefer?
Ma'am, if you
Either
ask me, I would prefer a
second
straight
stage
day
or-
5 transfer.
What are the advantages of day 5?
Hello, ma'am?
What is the advantage of a day 5 transfer?
Ma'am, something called as embryonic genomic activation takes place between day 3 to day 5. So in this, what happens is up to day 3, the oocyte takes care of most of the development. After day 3, what happens is the genome of the egg and sperm fuses and forms something called as embryonic genome. So only the potent embryo, which has a highest capacity to go and implant, they form a good blastocyst. It can be of any grade, A, B, C. If I have the blastocyst, my chance of getting positive is way higher than the day 3. The one more disadvantage of day 3 is when we put it in the uterus, we will not know whether it has gone through a blastocyst stage or no. To rule out the embryo factor, it is advisable to do a day 5 transfer, ma'am. However, if the patient has only 2 embryos growing, and then to give a best chance, we can put it in vivo and then wait for the result, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
what is the success rate at your center, ma'am? For first cycle, second cycle, or third cycle, like that, is there any difference?
Ma'am, there is no different per se. Again, it depends on the oocyte and sperm factor, ma'am. We have about 65 to 70%, ma'am, of pregnancy rate.
Viable pregnancy.
Yes, the beta HCG, ma'am.
Beta HCG. What about viability?
Ma'am, we have about
35
35 to 40% of CPR, ma'am, clinical pregnancy, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam, one more question.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
To cut down the good evening. To cut down the cost, do you store those embryos and then you do it for the next cycle to cut down the cost for the patient?
Sorry, ma'am.
Suppose if they have 2 or 3 more eggs, do you store those eggs and then you repeat this IVF in the second cycle at a lower price? You have that.
Ma'am, I am not sure about the costing part, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, to cut down the expenses for the patient, they do a second for the second month also. If the first cycle fails, and then you can store those embryos and can you
Madam,
do IVF for the next cycle also?
Madam, we'll freeze their embryos and we'll go for directly
Yeah, that's
FET.
what I mean.
Yes, madam, we'll definitely cut down the cost. We'll freeze those embryos. We'll go for directly FET, madam, for the second cycle.
Yeah.
No need to do any more
Second
pickups and everything. So their second cycle will cost around 40 to 50,000. That's it.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam, any more doubts? Kindly please unmute and ask.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Hello. Yeah, what is the cost of cryopreservation in your hospital?
We
Hello, ma'am.
charge. Yeah.
Yes, Yashaswini, you can proceed.
Can you please explain the financial part, if you don't mind?
Sorry, madam. Sorry for the interruption. You're talking about
Yeah, cryopreservation of eggs. For how many eggs and what is the expense of it and how long?
normally we will charge 25,000, madam, for 1 to 6 embryos for 9 months.
9 months. Okay.
Yes, madam.
Up to 6 embryos.
Yes, madam.
And if you have to do PGS for 4 eggs, 4 embryos, how much do you charge and how for the 4 embryos, how much do you charge? Because the rates have, they changed all the things to tell the patients. The patients will be asking how much do they charge for the PGS? Because previously it was different, and then now I think the rates have changed.
Yes, ma'am.
madam.
Now,
Yeah, you can go ahead.
yes, ma'am. Now per embryo it is charged 15,000, ma'am.
15,000. If it is 4 embryos, because previously they used to charge for 4 at a time, it is a bit less when compared to the single embryo.
Correct, ma'am. Now each embryo.
Now you're separately charging.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Good
madam.
evening.
Yeah. Are you doing NGS for these embryos, PGS, or are you doing the hybridization, CGH? What are you doing for these embryos for PGS?
CGH, ma'am. We are doing.
Yeah.
Array CGH.
Yeah, I'm not asking about PGTA. It is complete. Yeah. Are you doing array or NGS? Is NGS available?
Currently, we are doing array, ma'am. PGTA.
Array one. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
If at all, yeah, if the patient has any single gene defects and all, what? How are you proceeding with this?
Sorry, ma'am.
Single gene defects and all the patient has in the
Ma'am,
family.
then
How are you? Yeah.
then they can go for PGD, ma'am. So
PGD. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Then we'll have to do a background check of the patient. Then karyotype, blood test, and everything is done. And then we send it to Egeomics. Then they tell us how to go about it, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
NGS is not yet available, right, for the PGS?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Good evening,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Good evening. Madam, if the husband is severe oligospermic and all, and if you plan for an ICSI, and then you
Yes.
aspirate the sperms by MESA PISA, and then
Yes.
if the first ICSI cycle is not successful, suppose if you don't get any pregnancy,
Okay,
for
ma'am.
every case, do you take that sperm and then store it? You do cryopreservation and do you utilize for the next cycle, or you just go for a fresh again aspiration, sperm aspiration for the next cycle and all? For ICSI cycles, ICSI patients.
Okay, ma'am. So PISA, when we do, the factors like how many sperms are retrieved and also their
Yeah.
motility status counts a lot, ma'am. Say
Yeah.
if a patient has only 4 eggs and then we have used for ICSI and then we have more sample left, then what we do is we cryopreserve as a backup. But then when we are going for PISA and TISA, since there is a cryo damage when we freeze and thaw the sample, it's always advisable to do a fresh TISA, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what that doubt I had. Whether you're
Yes,
going to use the same thing or you are going to take a fresh
but we will
again
store
survey.
store it as a backup, but we will always
Backup, okay. But always
yes,
you prefer the new aspiration for the next
yes, ma'am.
cycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are you doing micro teaser in your place?
Yes, ma'am. We are doing.
Doing. And then how are the embryos with micro teaser and all the, how are they? Are they good ones, or are you finding any abnormalities in that? Do you go for PGS for these embryos?
No, ma'am. So the embryo development for micro TISA and TISA has been almost the same. We don't go for PGS as only in the indicative cases, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So how are the embryos in these patients? Because if the patients are going for a TISA or micro TISA and then you're doing ICSI, and
Yes, ma'am.
how are the embryos on the whole?
On the whole, we have a mixed result. A few patients we get 2 to 3 blasts, few we don't get. So it is again a mixed cohort, ma'am. Again, it depends on the morphology and also the DNA maturity and how they go about it determines the blastocyst, ma'am. And when we are doing TISA, most of the cases we take it to day 5, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, so that most of the genetic abnormalities will be gone and the
Yes, ma'am.
embryos are
Yes.
better.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you feel any imprinting disorders are all more in these patients?
Ma'am, we have not done any study in this field, ma'am. So
Okay.
until and unless we have a data, it is not recommended to comment on it, ma'am. So
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
So thank you all the doctors for your valuable time, and we will be closing this session. And tomorrow we'll be coming with the different topics of like advances in basic infertility, like advanced techniques in ART by Dr. Himadipti Garu. So now we are closing this session, madam. If any doubts, kindly pass on the message. We will be come back to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you for
Thank you.
clearing the doubts.
Thank you.